Okay, 2.3, we're going to be adding, subtracting, and multiplying radicals. So just a quick review from Algebra 1, basic exponent reviews. When you multiply the same base, you add the exponents. Okay, so for example over here, b3, b5, that's b to the 8th. A to the 0, anything to the 0 power is 1. If you have a fraction, like so, then it's a to the m minus n. So for example, z3 over z2, 3 minus 2 is z to the 1. When you have an exponent outside, it goes to both inside the parentheses. So this becomes a squared, b squared. When you're sending one in and there was already one there, think about this. Up here, this was really a 1 and a 1. And we did 2 times 1 and 2 times 1. You just don't think about it that way when you're distributing. Well, you are, in this case, m times n. So in this case, it's x to the 10th, 5 times 2. Again, when you're distributing, this is really a 1 and a 1. So it's a to the m over b to the m. So over here, this is 2 to the 3rd over x to the 3rd, or 8 over x to the 3rd. And then negative exponents we don't like. So think about it this way. You're babysitting kids, and you're downstairs, and they start crying. You send them upstairs to get positive, so they get in a better mood. If you're upstairs and they're crying, you send them downstairs to their room to get in a better mood or to get positive. So when you have a to the negative 1, which is really on the top, we're going to send this downstairs and make it 1 over a to the 1. So in this case, this is really over 1, so we're going to send it down and make it 1 over y cubed. Okay, this is what we've had all the notes so far. Just a reminder, not going to read it to you. So the product property for any real numbers a and b and n indices greater than 1. This goes both ways. If you have the same index number, both squared, both cubes, you can multiply. And if you think about it, when we were simplifying, what did we do? We said square root of 50 was the square root of 25 times square root of 2. You've already done this. And consequently, it comes back the other way. 2 times 25, same index, right? Therefore, it's the square root of 50. So you've already been doing this. Okay, so we're going to multiply. And the belly button rule is when you have coefficients. Okay? Inside, inside, outside, outside. So, we're going to also have to simplify. So here we go. Radical 10 times radical 8 is radical 80. Then you use your chart and say, hey, what goes into that? And actually, even though you go, oh, 4 does, remember we want the biggest one. So that's radical 16 times radical 5. And radical 16 is 4, so that's 4 root 5. Now, some of you might have said, hey, I can simplify this right now into radical 4 times radical 2, which is 2 radical 2. And you can do that, but then when you multiply, so when you multiply by the radical 10, you get 2 radical 20, which you then have to break this down anyway to radical 4 and radical 5, and then you get 4 radical 5. Same answer, but it actually, though it looks like it would have been saving time, since when you multiply there's going to be another number trapped inside, it doesn't. So here's that inside and outside rule. There's really a 1 out here. So this and this get multiplied, and this and this get multiplied, even though it's just a 1. So we have 3 times radical 64, which is 8. So 8 times 3 is 24. Now some of you may have noticed, wait a minute, why not simplify radical 4 to 2 and radical 16 to 4, not radical 4, just 4, and you could do that because those were perfect squares. So this would have been quicker in this circumstance. You know, sometimes it works better, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so outside terms, 5 times negative 6 is negative 30. Square root of x times square root of x, go back to your basic rules, is square root of x squared. Because remember, x to the first times x to the first is x squared. Now, what we learned on the previous lesson, they come out in pairs. So since we have 2 in here, 2 divided by 2 is 1. That simplifies to negative 30x. Okay, outside, negative 24. Inside, 8 times 2, 16. C cubed times c to the first, 3 plus 1 is 4. D to the fifth, d to the 3 is d to the 8th. Now we simplify. Negative 24 times square root of 16 is 4. And then they come on pairs. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now we just multiply. 24 and 24 is 48. Double that, 96. C squared d to the 4th. Okay, so here we have 3, and we're multiplying the inside. So that's negative 216. A to the first, a squared is a cubed. B to the fourth, b to the second is b to the 6th. Now, we have a square root. And now at this point, since we have a negative and it's a square root, we know this is an imaginary answer. Okay, adding and subtracting. In order to add or subtract, radicals must be like radicals. In other words, the index number, that's the little number up here, index number, and the radicand, which is in here, must be identical. You should always simplify it first if you can. Okay, think about it this way. 2x plus 8x is 10x. You could not do 2x plus 8y. They're not joint. You can't join them. They're not like terms. So, in this case, since these are both square roots, and they're both radical 3's, so the same variable, 2 of these plus 8 of these is 10 of these. Over here, 3 of these, take away 10 of these is negative 7 of these. What are they? Radical x, square root of x. Now at first you think this does not work because 8 and 50 are not the same, and they're not. But we can simplify these. So this is radical 4 times radical 2. Square root of 4 is 2. Don't forget to multiply by this 4. And we get 8 radical 2. Plus, let's see what happens here. This is radical 25 times radical 2. Oh, I see something coming. Square root of 25 is 5. Don't forget to multiply by the 3. 15 radical 2. Now we can join. 8 of these plus 15 of these is 23 of these. Radical 2. 2 more. Again, 48 can be broken down into 16 times 3. Yes. Square root of 16, square root of 3. Square root of 16 is 4. Don't forget to multiply here. That's 8x. Radical 3. Minus radical 9, radical 3. Square root of 9 is 3. Don't forget to multiply by here. 15. Okay. Square root of x squared, they come out in pairs. That's just an x. Radical 3. Okay, so since these are the same, radical 3, we know we're going to have radical 3 in our answer. 8x's take away 15x's is negative 7x. There we go. Okay, so, a lot going on here. This right here, we got to think about breaking down. Okay, so we got 5x, radical x, nothing can happen there. Plus 7, radical y, nothing can happen there. Here, square root of 9 is 3. Inside the radical, we have 3 x's. They come out in pairs. Or remember, 2 goes into 3 one time, with a remainder of 1 stuck inside. I'm running out of room. There we go. Plus, square root of 100 is 10, times 2 is 20. That's not supposed to be underneath the radical. Y to a radical. I'm getting ahead of myself. Radical y. Now I look for like terms. Radical y's, square root of y, and square root of x's. So 5x, take away 3x is 2x, square root of x. 7 plus 20 is 27, square root of y. And that be all.